Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is a very exciting day. I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but get ready with me as I get ready for my son's 4th birthday party. Also, life hack, if you don't ever feel like cleaning your brushes because my foundation brush is shot, just buy a new one. The foundation brush I use is the Sephora number 47 brush, and it is fantastic. I also don't know if I would consider that to be a life hack, but we are now, so there you have it. And what's really nice about doing my makeup right after I get a shower is my hair's wet, so it's already staying back and I don't have to wear my headband today, which is like really nice. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you the story. Oh, this is like a huge difference. This is nice. About when my son was born, because it's a fun one. So most of you know, and if you haven't and you're new to my page, just a little reminder, I was diagnosed with breast cancer while I was 20 weeks pregnant, and I ended up going through surgery and 4 rounds of chemo while I was pregnant with him before I gave birth. I ended up having chemo treatments until I was 35 weeks pregnant, and the plan was going to be, per my oncologist as well as my OB, that I would be induced at 37 weeks. So the week before my scheduled induction, I was only at 1 centimeter, so there wasn't anything that needed to be done at the time. You know, we were going to check me out again at 37 weeks, right before we would schedule anything to see if I needed any kind of like, you know, like any kind of like medicine or whatever to speed things up. So whenever I went back the following day, it was on a Tuesday. It was Tuesday, January 19th. You know, he checked my cervix again and there wasn't anything that needed done. So the day I went and had everything checked, you know, like my husband and I, Andy and I, we went and just kind of had like one last date before it became the 3 of us. So, you know, like we went out, and I forget where we went to eat at. It was just like kind of like I think a local restaurant. I think we just did like takeout or something. And, you know, when we came back home, you know, like we ate, you know, whatever it was that we did, and got the hospital bag ready. That day I had my mom come over and take some like maternity pictures for me because I wasn't able to. I didn't feel comfortable doing it, you know, like because of chemo, I didn't have any hair. I was missing at that time like half of me because of cancer. So we just did some pictures at the house, you know, like I wore my my cotton candy wig that I called it because I absolutely loved it. And you know, I didn't really like dress up, like I didn't have like a maternity dress. Like the way my pregnancy went wasn't anything at all like I had imagined it would be, but it was still a really good time, you know, like I was still able to bring my son into this world. So anyway, you know, like we did all that. We got ready, we just kind of hung out, and we knew that regardless, in 2 days we were going to be parents. So now fast forward to the day before my induction. Whenever I get like really, really stressed, my stomach will get upset, right? I think that's like a common thing with like a lot of people. But my stomach will get upset whenever I know that in my head, like it's gonna be like something scary, something I don't know. Like a lot of the times it's just because of like the unknown. Like I do not do good with unknown things, right? So like my stomach was kind of bothering me a little bit, but it wasn't like it really wasn't like anything, you know, like it's not like I had an upset stomach. I thought it was just nerves. That night, you know, Andy and I went to bed at like 9 o'clock or something because we had to be at the hospital at 5 in the morning. I knew I was going to want to get up and, you know, like get a shower and stuff before we went. and I couldn't sleep. Like, I could not sleep, and I know it was because of the nerves, because the day I had my surgery, it was the same thing. Like, I had such a hard time, like, going to sleep and staying asleep and everything else. So, it's like 1:30 in the morning, and my stomach wakes me up, right? So I'm like, okay, you know, like, whatever. Like, I got up, I went into the bathroom, and I just sat there. Like, there was literally nothing. So I'm like, I'm going back to bed. You know, like, it subsided, and I was like, you know, at that point, like, okay, you know, it really is just nerves. You know, not a big deal, whatever. I'm just gonna go try to get some sleep, because we were getting up in like an hour and a half anyway to get ready to go to the hospital to be induced. Well, 15 minutes later, like, I'm not even asleep yet. Like, I didn't go back to sleep, but like 15 minutes later, my stomach decided to do that all over again. So I'm like, okay, get up, went into the bathroom, and again, just sitting there. So it's like 2 in the morning, quarter to 2 in the morning. I text my mom, hey, am I in labor? Because, you know, my mom was going to know if I was in labor. Like, moms know everything, right? And I vaguely remembered, and the only reason I asked her was because she told me that labor will feel like you need to go to the bathroom, but there's nothing there. And that's kind of like where I was feeling. So she calls me and she's like, Nick, I don't know. She was like, are you having contractions? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I've never been in labor before. I don't know what this is supposed to feel like. So she was like, time your contractions. And I said, I was. Like, they're like 4 minutes apart. So she said, okay, call the hospital and let them know you think you're in labor, because again, we were supposed to be induced at 5 in the morning. So I said, okay. So and she was like, go wake Andy up. I said, okay. So, you know, I called the hospital first, and, you know, I said, you know, I think I'm in labor. You know, I know we're scheduled to be there at 5 o'clock this morning. Should we wait? Can we come in? You know, like, I don't know, like, what the protocol was, because, you know, like I said, I was supposed to be induced. So this wasn't really planned. And, you know, they were like really nice about it. You know, she was like, just come in. You know, we already have a room ready for you. So, you know, just come in. You have to go through the emergency department because the main hospital itself is closed because it's the middle of the night. And, you know, she's like, just come on up and, you know, we'll get you checked in and we'll get you set up. So I said, okay, cool. So after I got off the phone with the hospital, I woke Andy up and I said, hey, I'm in labor, but I still want to get a shower. I might need your help. You know, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get like any big contractions, you know, like I want you in there with me just because, you know, I was afraid one was like going to take me by surprise and take me off my feet, basically. And like my body was weak to begin with because of the chemo. So, you know, we shower, we get ready. The contractions still weren't terrible. You know, it's kind of like how it was whenever I first woke up. So I was like, okay, you know, this isn't going to be too bad. We get in the car, we're driving to the hospital, and my contractions decided to settle in my back. Now, I know I have disclosed it before, but in case you forgot, whenever I was 13, I broke my back doing gymnastics. And where my labor pains were in my back was right where I broke my back. So it felt like it was happening all over again. And it was like the worst feeling that I have ever experienced. So at this point, we're driving to the hospital. It was about a half-hour ride there. Thankfully, we didn't hit any snow or had any kind of issues whatsoever, because that was my biggest fear about being pregnant and having to deliver my son in the middle of winter. Now, whenever we get to the hospital, you know, like I said, we had to get through the ER, and their protocol, which I'm not upset about, you need to go through a metal detector. If you have a bag, you have to get your bag scanned in. It was like a whole like big TSA like airport check thing, right? Not a big deal. However, I'm in active labor. My labor pains are so bad at this point. Like, I would rank them at like a 7. And they're just taking their time, and I'm like, oh my God. And like this little sweet old lady who was working the desk at the ER, and Andy let me go through first, that way I could like try to get checked in and let him know what was going on. And you know, I said, hi, you know, like, I'm in labor, they have a room ready for me. I have no idea where the maternity ward is. Like, I've never been to the maternity ward before because of COVID. You know, you couldn't like do different things that you used to pre-COVID. So she was like so sweet, you know, like she like wheeled me up and told me that she was like so excited and she couldn't wait to hear that I had my baby. And like, she was just like the sweetest little woman. And I'm gonna do my eyeliner wing quickly because I can't do that and talk, so hang tight for 1 second. All right, so by the time we get up to my room, you know, they're getting me checked in, getting me hooked up to the monitors. And whenever they checked me to see how dilated I was at 4 centimeters. So this was at like 3:30 in the morning by the time we get there. So I'm 4 centimeters at 3:30, and they asked me if I wanted an epidural. And I looked at her without even hesitation, and I said, yes, I do. So it was gonna take the anesthesiologist about 15, 20 minutes to get up to my room because they were just finishing up a surgery. And I said, that's fine, not a big deal. So when they do the epidural, you have to basically like hug a pillow and like you kind of like sit forward a little bit so they can like really get your spine. Well, I have the Thon tattoo on the back of my neck, and that's like one of the big like Penn State, like if you're a Penn Stater, you know Thon. You recognize the Thon diamond, you know what FTK stands for. I had it on the back of my neck. One of the anesthesiologists, you know, we were talking, and she asked me if I went to Penn State. And I said, yeah, you know, she was like, you know, I see your Thon tattoo. Well, it turns out she went to Penn State like years ago. And whenever she graduated, she told me it was like right after they had like initially like kicked off Thon. And I thought that was like one of the coolest things ever, because you had somebody who graduated from Penn State in 2014, and then you had somebody else who graduated in the 80s. And it was just like so cool to like listen to each other's stories about like how Thon was, you know, like she learned a lot about how it is now. I learned a lot about how it was back then. And it's just so incredible that it like even like progressed to where it is. But it's even more incredible that I had a Penn State anesthesiologist, and she was so sweet too. You know, like the team that was like at this hospital that I delivered at was just like so amazing, and I love them. And then, you know, like once I was hooked up to the epidural, like it was like so nice. Like I had no pain. It worked perfectly. Like I know some women will like say how, you know, like their epidural didn't work, it didn't kick in. Honestly, if it took the pain out of my back, I wouldn't have cared if I would have like felt something, just because I felt enough. And I feel like anything that would have been like in my stomach and other areas, I feel like I could have handled better than I did in my back. So from like 3:30 until about 11-ish, you know, it was just like waiting for the labor to progress. I think I was at like 7 centimeters or something by like 5 or 6 in the morning. And then I was able to start pushing around 11:30. And it was like really cool because I absolutely love the OB that I had. You know, like I requested him, and he even went so far as to give me his personal number, because if I would have gone into labor where he wasn't on call, like he was on call that day, but where he wasn't on call or scheduled to be at the hospital in case of deliveries, you know, he told me I could have just like reached out to him and he would be there. And a big reason for that too is like, I know I said this before in like in a couple of my videos, sorry guys, my eyes watering right now. And the first OB that I saw in his office totally disregarded everything whenever I told her that I had a lump on my right breast. And I was not comfortable if she would have been the one that was on call, which is why he was like, yeah, listen, you know, you go in labor, you call me. But it was nice because, you know, like it worked out really well that, like I said, he was the one who was there regardless. But it was like really nice too because, you know, like he let Andy help. Like Andy was like right down where the action was, and he got to actually like see our son's birth like right then and there. And that was like one of the coolest things that he ever had. And, you know, like just laying there, like seeing my son for the first time and just holding him, like it was It was perfection. You know, he's still perfect now, don't get me wrong, but like, just holding your child for the first time, like there's nothing, like there is no other feeling, and it's just something that I'm always going to remember and cherish forever. Now, we did end up staying in the hospital for 3 days after that, just because, you know, he was jaundiced and had to stay in what we called the fish tank in our room, which was nice because they were able to wheel it in our room. You know, we didn't have to switch rooms. I didn't have to be away from him. Andy was able to be there the whole time. I was able to be there the whole time. And, like, the staff that was there was just, like, they were so sweet. You know, they would bring Andy food because if he left, he couldn't come back. So he got, you know, meals and stuff with me. There was like the bathroom and shower and everything right in my room. So that was really nice. You know, we were both able to shower and stuff. Whenever I slept, he would watch Ash and like vice versa. We were watching like Freeform the whole time. So like they had Disney movies because it was like over the weekend. And, you know, they were doing like their Disney movie marathon. So we were watching like Space Jam and Tangled and all the classics that we both absolutely love. And it was just a really good experience there. And, you know, we came home and I just continued on with cancer treatment as usual. So I'm going to go finish getting ready now. I have to go dry my hair and we're going to go get the party set up. So you're coming along for the ride because this video is all about my son. Would somebody like to tell me why they decided to start using screws to keep toys in place? Like, look at this. You see this? I'm trying to make it so there's not like a blurry or anything. I have been sitting here for 10 minutes. I got all of them out except for this one. And this screw does not want to go. Like, who was the genius that decided to do this? Because at this rate, my child's going to be my age by the time he gets to play with this toy. So my son's birthday party today was a huge success. We are so thankful and so appreciative of everybody who came. It's not about the gifts for us. It has absolutely nothing to do with who brings a present, who doesn't bring a present. We just want you there because we want to celebrate the birth of our son. You know, that's all we care about. We could care less if you don't bring anything, you know? We want you there because we love you and we want you to love our child. So the day did not start out according to plan. We had ordered 20 pizzas and we had to do this ahead of time. So we ordered 20 pizzas at a pizza place. I'm not going to drop the name, so if you ask, I'm just going to ignore it. But we ordered 20 pizzas. It was supposed to be ready for pickup at 11:30 a.m. So Andy and I, you know, we go to pick up our pizzas. It's already paid for. And, you know, I walked in and I said, hey, you know, like we had an order for pickup. We have 20 pizzas, you know, whatever. Here's the name. And she looks at me and she was like, for what time? And I said, for 11:30. You know, I said, it should be ready now. Like I double checked the order. It showed 11:30 a.m. on, you know, today's date on the 18th. And she's looking at it. Well, in her system, it showed p.m. Our pizzas weren't ready. And then on top of it, she wasn't going to give me a refund because I was like, well, we don't need 20 pizzas at 11:30 at night. You know, we need them really in like 15 minutes. And, you know, I was like, you know, can we just cancel the order then, and can I just get a refund? You know, I said it's already paid for. And she was like, well, they're already paid for. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I need a refund. So reluctantly, she gave me a refund. And then, you know, I was like, well, how many pizzas can you make within like 15 minutes? Because I'm like, if you can get like a couple, you know, like whatever. I don't know the process. I've never worked in a pizza shop. And she's like, well, it's just me. And I said, okay, so you're not even like willing to even try to work with us a little bit? Like, okay, you know, whatever, that's fine. You know, I wasn't trying to make her feel like obligated or anything. I was just genuinely curious because none of the other pizza places around us open until like 1 or 2. So, you know, like I looked at Andy and I'm like, what are we supposed to do? Like, our son's party starts in 15 minutes and we don't have food. So we ended up going to Walmart and getting 10 pizzas and like 6 hoagies and some chips. And like we just grabbed them and like we went and we're like cooking pizzas at the party. So it wasn't a total disaster. I'm actually like really happy that, you know, we were able to do that, and like everybody was just like so cool about it. So yeah. But I mean, overall, like it was such a really good time, you know, like my son had an absolute blast. We had a face painter there. She face painted all the kids. Like it was so fun. Everybody had such a good time. And like I said, like we're just so appreciative of everybody who showed up to wish our son a happy 4th birthday, and I still can't believe he's 4 years old. But that's gonna do it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Follow me on social media. And as always, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day.